Bombshell testimony tonight. For the first time, a first-hand witness to the explosive conversation that ignited the impeachment inquiry.
Did the White House try to prevent you from testifying?
Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, a combat veteran and National Security Council staffer, was on that July call between President Trump and the Ukrainian president, listening in from the Situation Room, then sending up this stunning alarm. This would all undermine U.S. national security. Vindman is telling lawmakers he was concerned about the conversation, in which the president asked for political help as Ukraine was seeking key military aid. According to documents obtained by NBC News, Vindman says, "I did not think it was proper to demand that a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen, and I was worried about the implications for the U.S. government's support of Ukraine." He adds any investigation into the Bidens would likely be interpreted as a partisan play, which would undoubtedly result in Ukraine losing the bipartisan support it has thus far maintained, telling his superiors more than once of his concerns. Referencing his military service, Vindman writes of his motivation for defying the White House to speak out now. "I am a patriot, and it is my sacred duty and honor to advance and defend our country, irrespective of party or politics." The president's trying to paint Vindman as partisan, accusing him of being a never-Trumper with no evidence. Some conservative allies even suggesting treason from a man who immigrated to the U.S. from Ukraine as a child.
Here we have a U.S. national security official who is advising Ukraine while working inside the White House, apparently against the president's interest, and usually they spoke in English.
Some people might call that espionage.
He has an affinity probably for his homeland.
But some GOP lawmakers disgusted at that smear campaign against a decorated soldier who received a Purple Heart after surviving a roadside bomb in Iraq.
It is shameful to question their patriotism, their love of this nation, and we should not be involved in that process.
Democrats also furious.
Look yourself in the mirror and ask if you want to sit on the sidelines while the president tries to take down a patriot.
They don't have any way to explain away this evidence.
Still, Republicans do argue Vindman's wrong when he says national security was ever at risk.
We are all able to see there was no quid pro quo. The money was released. Ukraine did nothing and no action was taken. Where's the crime?
House Democrats are also formalizing the rules of their impeachment inquiry, introducing a resolution today to hold public hearings for the first time and to let both Democrat and Republican sides question witnesses for an extra 45 minutes each.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.